As English teachers, we eventually forget what it feels like to be a beginner. We tell our students things like, try to speak more, learn this, learn that, say this, say that. And we think it's easy because we completely forgot what it feels like to learn a new language from zero. Until one day life forces you to remember. A few weeks ago, here in Austria, I was standing in a public restroom when something really strange happened. I had left my glasses on the sink after washing my face. An older man picked them up, looked at me, smiled, and asked me something in German. And I had absolutely no idea what he was saying. Not one word, not even one. But somehow, I understood him. In my mind, he was asking something like, "Are these glasses yours?" Then he kindly handed the glasses to me, and I said, "Danke." Then he pointed toward the exit while he was smiling and saying something else. And again, I understood absolutely none of the words. But somehow, because of the way he said it, I kind of knew what he said. Oh, that's what I want to believe. There was no grammar, no translation, no vocabulary list, just context. Human interaction. And somehow, communication magically happened. I learned English so many years ago that I had forgotten what the beginning feels like. I had forgotten what it's like to hear people speaking and understand absolutely nothing. I had forgotten what it feels like to know only 3 words and feel proud because you managed to survive a conversation. I had forgotten the frustration, the embarrassment, the mental exhaustion when you're trying to understand or say something and you simply can't. That is exactly what I'm going through now by trying to learn German here in Austria. The funny thing is that when you're a beginner, it feels like you're failing every time, when you're actually not. As a matter of fact, your brain is doing something amazing. It's not trying to understand words. Your brain is trying to understand intention. It's trying to understand context. It's trying to understand emotion. And that is exactly what beginners do. When you live in a country where a foreign language is spoken, communication becomes a real challenge. And every opportunity to talk is a new battle. Not knowing how to ask for something, or even worse, not knowing what something is called, can become a real nightmare. When I arrived in Austria, the first thing that I needed was a coffee maker. One of those Italian mocha pots. It looks like a simple problem, except I didn't really know what it was called in German. Of course, I searched it on Google, but it had so many different names that I ended up more confused than before. So I went to the stores looking for one until I finally found it. Unfortunately, it was bigger than I needed. But here's the key part. The label had the German name of it, an espresso kocher. And that was a lifesaver for the moment. So I quickly looked for the pronunciation on Google. And that's how I could start to ask in every store if they had it. Then I used Google Translate from English into German, of course, to learn some essential words and short phrases for this type of situation. That's how I managed to make myself understood. And it's incredible, but in a day, I learned like 4 different adjectives to describe things just because of this situation. And later on that day, I was already able to create more complex sentences using only these words. And the funny thing is that I repeated them over and over while I was walking towards the store. Do you have this? How much does it cost? Do you have a smaller coffee kocher? That is too big, that's too small. And in that moment, I realized something. Most people try to learn languages by learning endless vocabulary lists. But in this specific situation, I was learning vocabulary because I desperately needed it. Huge difference. I wasn't only memorizing words or phrases, I was trying to solve a problem. Because once I started to pay attention, I realized language is hiding everywhere. At the supermarket, street signs, bus stations, coffee shop menus, advertisements, price tags, even at something as simple as a washing machine. That is how, after a few weeks, I realized something even bigger. Austria had become my classroom, not because I was studying German, but because German was suddenly everywhere. Every sign became a flashcard. Every supermarket became a vocabulary lesson. Every subway station became a reading exercise. Every menu became a speaking challenge. However, it was all about survival. Whenever I needed to do the grocery shopping, I would read the aisle signs and see what was there. Getränke was always soda, water, beers, everything you could drink. I also noticed that reading the price tag of the products helped me improve my visual association. We can't forget about the bus signs or the subway warnings either. They are extremely useful when it comes to learn sentence structure, because they are very straightforward, and some of them even have the English translation below, or a nice image that your brain can associate with it. My favorite strategy, though, has become to steal words from the digital counter machines at restaurants. All of this made me realize that the best German lessons didn't come from a book or formal lessons. They came from stealing all the German from the world around me. And regarding to this, I have a little secret to tell you. I've come to develop this guilty pleasure of sitting at coffee shops or restaurants and trying to overhear people's conversations. It's not that I like gossiping, but the art of trying to figure out words from people you don't know has become a fascinating challenge. What phrase do they repeat? What changes? What stays the same? What's their intonation? But you must be careful, because the danger of overhearing conversations is that before you know it, you can become part of them, and things might not go as well as you expect. Like what happened to me at IKEA. One day, I was sitting down working on my laptop, and the guy who was going to sit next to me started talking to me in German. He had a tray with his food and 2 empty glasses. He showed me the tray and grabbed one of the glasses. It was like a hurricane of words. And of course, I didn't get anything of what he said. It was really frustrating. It was like, I don't have the most remote idea of what you're talking about. Only thing I could say was English. Lucky for me, he immediately switched to English, and now I could understand. He happened to have an extra empty glass. He wanted to give it to me so that I could drink some soda for free. Then everything made sense. But believe me, there was no way I could have understood that in German, because it felt like someone had thrown 1,000 puzzle pieces at my face. And at that moment, I suddenly understood what my students have been feeling all these years. Because when you're learning a language, people don't slow down for you. The world keeps moving at its pace. And sometimes that can be terrifying. But if English has one advantage, it is a language that is omnipresent in your life, even if you don't want to. Movies, games, music, airports, internet, brands. I remember even before I started learning English, I already knew hundreds of English words. But German isn't like that for me. When somebody starts speaking German, I don't even know what the topic is. Whether they are asking for something or complaining about something or upset about something. But in English is different. In English, maybe you don't understand everything, but there's always a word that you can pick up. A word that helps you at least go in some sort of direction. In German, you're lost. Sometimes I don't even know where a conversation begins or ends. So if you're learning English and feeling frustrated, I feel you. I get it. And definitely more than I did a few months ago. Because now I'm the confused beginner again. The guy standing in a supermarket trying to understand a label. The guy listening to conversations and catching one word out of 20. The guy repeating the same sentence 10 times before walking into a store. And maybe that's the most important thing I've learned here. Fluency is not built when everything makes sense. It is built in those moments when nothing makes sense, but you keep going anyway. So if you're learning English, be patient with yourself. Your brain is doing more than you think. Trust the process. And remember, the goal is not to understand everything. It's to understand more than you did yesterday. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. I'm Teacher M, and I'll see you in the next mission. Bye-bye.